Hey everybody, welcome back to J&E Integration. I'm John, and today we're talking networks. We have a small Arachnus network here. We're just going to talk about the components of what makes up a home network and how it's used and what the benefits of having a system like this are. All right, so before we get into these individual components, I want to talk about the Comcast All-in-One unit. So the Comcast All-in-One unit is a modem, router, network switch, and an access point. They're all in one, but we all know the problem with all-in-one units. They don't do anything particularly well. So if you have a larger house, you might notice that you don't get Wi-Fi at the end of your house. Your home might have network jacks in it, and you might want to plug those into a unit so that you can have internet to those jacks. That's not going to be possible if you only have 4 plugs on the back of your modem. What we do is we separate the systems into individual systems. That enables them to do their job at the maximum capability. Also, if you have any problems with any of those individual components, we can just replace that component without getting into the entire thing. We're going to start from the top and go all the way down the way the signal goes. So the first unit is a modem. This little unit, it just has 2 RJ45 plugs on the back, a power plug, and a coax. This essentially takes the signal from the cable company, turns it into a usable signal for our network equipment to use. This is not going to be able to give internet to more than 1 unit at a time. It is only going to be able to address 1 unit because it's just a modem. So if we want more units to be addressed, then we're going to have to get to our second component of the system. That brings us to our router. So the router, one of the main jobs of the router is to pass out addresses to each unit. Everything that's plugged into your network needs to be identified so that we give it an address. One of the main jobs of this unit is to address each one of those units. Another big thing this guy does is network security. A lot of people call this a gateway because its main job is to be a gateway, to be the gatekeeper of your home internet. And that's one of the big reasons to use this instead of a Comcast, because this is going to have heightened security. As we can see on the back of this, we're going to have 1 RJ45 in, and then you'll have 2 out. Now don't be deceived, just because there's 2 ports doesn't mean it can only address for 2 devices. This can handle an entire full network, which is 254 addresses. Very simple unit, but a lot of people miss this little guy. And if this goes out in your house, none of your network's gonna work. So router, very important piece of the network. Every piece is very important, but this and the modem are probably the 2 most important pieces of your network. Component number 3, this is our network switch. This is where you're going to plug all of your RJ45 cables into. So if your house is wired for network, you would have a panel somewhere with a ton of little snaky wires. They're going to have a bunch of RJ45 plugs on them. Those little guys will plug into this unit. You can see on the front, it just kind of gives you the status of each one of the ports. This is a very small network. This only has 8 ports on it. That's all we're going to need. So we have fiber connections here. We can connect fiber optic wires to go to each network switch. We could stack a bunch of them and have 10 gig throughput. And then we have, this one's a PoE switch because we're going to plug it into some access points. So we have plenty of PoE, all 8 ports. And it's also a layer 2 managed switch. So you get all of your nerdy network components, settings, and protocols, and also safety stuff as well. So there's a ton this can do within the programming of the unit, but the main use of this type of unit, a network switch, is to just provide more ports for your network so you can plug more units into it. So there you go, network switch. On to the last component. This is our access point. After our internet signal goes through all of the other components that we discussed, it will end up at this access point, and this will create the Wi-Fi signal for your phone to be able to use. The reason for using one of these, we want to use a wired access point with a cable on it, because if we use what's known as an extender, those are really they're only going to reproduce the signal that they're getting. So if you're getting full signal, then you don't really need an extender. And if you're not getting enough signal, then the extender's not really going to do much for you anyways. So I always recommend running a wire to the access point, placing the access point in a central location. That way you can get all the Wi-Fi for all of the devices that you're going to need. Also, with a component system like this, you'll find that it is just a far more robust system than trying to use a Comcast system with extenders. And you can also add things onto the system without getting crazy expensive, because if you just have a Comcast system and you want to add stuff to it, I don't think you're going to be able to do that. So yeah, access point. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.